Algorators, welcome back to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. So happy to see you guys back. Tonight's episode is titled Second Chances, Last Wishes, and the Price of Signature. All right, let's see who's joining us tonight. Let's see who we have down in the chat. SL Warrior, welcome back to Celebrity Court. Brian Simone, welcome back. Hey, Al, Brian and Simone, we're back, Algorators. All right. Brenda K, it's always good to see your name when I sign on. Welcome back to Celebrity Court. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving as well. Essie Stone, I feel like we're family. So PJ 2792, you too. Leandra 7140. Hey, Al and lawyers. Hey. Danielle Cameron, can't be a Celebrity Court without you. Thank you so much for joining us. Lady Aries 7797 from the DMV. That's right, Lady Aries. I was at the Tiny Desk today with Miguel. It was a great time. Who else is here? Tracy Odom, welcome back. Christine R, of course. Jason misses you too. Deaf God 1411, welcome back. Algorators, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome back to Celebrity Court. All right, order in the court of public opinion, the only court where the culture is the Constitution, the comments are the closing arguments, and the jury, which is you, is everybody that's watching this live stream, whether you're in your bonnet, sitting on your couch, on your lunch break, or on your way home. Welcome to Celebrity Court. Now listen, tonight, we're not just talking law, we're talking consequences. On tonight's docket, we have Zachary Ty Bryan. Yeah, you remember the young boy, the golden boy from Home Improvement. Now he's a case study in what happens when courts keep giving second chances in domestic violence and the violence keeps coming back. Shannen Doherty, yes, we know she has passed along, but she's still fighting, believe it or not. But from the graveyard, yep, you heard me correctly, her estate is dragging her ex-husband back to court for money and property he allegedly refused to turn over after signing their divorce deal the day she died. Morally messy, but some say it's legally clean. Ooh, baby, the Todd Tucker and Kandi Burruss versus Kandi Burruss is getting hotter, and we're in round 2 in this Atlanta arena. This time, guess what? Todd is challenging the prenup, and he's asking for the kids. The law has one story, and the public opinion has another. Let's see which side of the law or the opinion you sit on. And last but not least, I couldn't believe what my eyes read. Katy Perry is accused of snatching a mansion from a dying veteran who said he wasn't mentally capable when he signed the sale. Now, the courts say the contract is good. The streets are saying, really, Katy? I guess. Well, guess what? You'll have a say tonight. Tonight, I'm not just your judge. I'm going to serve as your instigator, your interpreter, and your translator between what's legal and what feels just a tad bit foul. Yep, that's right. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and court is now in session. And joining to me tonight, I have my legal beagles. I have attorney Shannen Turner, Sean Carter, and Jason Weiss. Counselors, welcome back to Celebrity Court. All right, all of you are on mute.
No, I was.
Except for Jason.
Hello, everybody. Let's get started, Your Honor.
All right, Shannen, we just want to send our regards out to you and your family. For those who are asking where Shannen was last week, I'll let Shannen share with you the news, and hopefully if anyone would like to know more, she'll share that too.
Yeah, thanks, Your Honor. Unfortunately, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, my dad, Ronald Golden, died unexpectedly here at a hospital in Pittsburgh. And so threw my family for a loop. We've been planning and mourning and celebrating his life. And so the services will be this Friday at noon at Central Baptist Church in Pittsburgh. And I appreciate all of your thoughts and prayers. And special thanks to my counselors, Sean Carter and Jason Weiss, who sent me thoughtful notes after it happened.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, throw down in the chat a prayer hand emoji for our wonderful attorney, Shannen Turner. Shannen, we wish you and your family the best. All right, back to the mess. Like I said, second chances, last wishes, and the price of signature. First up, we have probation, domestic violence, and how many chances is too many? And that's the question. How many chances is too many? First up, Zachery Ty Bryan. Y'all remember him as the cute son from Home Improvement? Well, guess what? Now he's staring in a whole different genre. Instead of Home Improvement, it's Lifetime's probation and violence is going to be his headline. He's not in court for a shiny new felony today. This hearing is about violating probation from a prior domestic violence case. Yep, you heard me, prior. So guess what? It's the same woman, the same dynamics, but new chaos. Now, police say he and his partner, Johnny Faye Cartwright, got into it in Oregon. He gets out of the truck. She allegedly tries to run him over with 3 kids in the car, veers off the road, and lands in a ditch. They both were impaired. She's hit with the DUI, reckless endangerment, and attempted first-degree assault. He's hauled in for a violating of probation on a domestic violence case involving her, and is being held without bail. How does that happen? So the legal question is here, how many times does the system let the cycle repeat, especially when kids are literally in the back seat? All right, I'm going to go to you first, Shannen. On probation law, this is what I need to know. Tell me, under Oregon law, when someone is on domestic violence probation and they're involved in another violent alcohol feud incident with the same partner, how easy is it for the judge to yank that probation and send them back to jail?
Well, here's the lesson for the algoriters, and what happened here is you don't even have to get deep into the facts, although the facts are noteworthy. When you're on probation, that is your ticket to being a really good altar boy or girl until your probation is over. And if you decide instead of doing that, what you want to do is get drunk, drive a car, and endanger the life of another person and your children, then chances are you're going to be in deep doo-doo.
All right, Attorney Carter, explain to me, do the facts that the kids were in the truck and allegedly in danger affect his consequences, even though she's the driver in the incident?
Yeah, and that's always going to be a big deal. When you get the kids involved, it's extra. I mean, one, if you were to commit an act of domestic violence in front of the children, as we've seen in other cases, that's a separate crime in and of itself. That almost raises it to felony level. In addition, in this case, here's the thing is, he is not being charged here with violence at all, striking her at all. But the reason he's in jail is because he violated his protective order. Part of his condition for being out is not to have any contact with her. Leave that woman alone is basically the thing. We can let you stay out of jail if you leave her alone, and he can't stay away. And the two of them together are obviously not a good match for anybody, and unfortunately, especially not those 3 kids.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly then, and Jason, you can chime in here, it wasn't, well, I guess the violation of the probation was he was supposed to be nowhere around her, not how he handled that particular situation with her at that point.
That is correct. He's not allowed to be anywhere near her, and the fact that he was near her is what the problem is. And also, when you're on probation for domestic violence, that's different than being on probation from jail. Because if you're in probation for jail, then that's a little bit harder. But domestic violence, the smallest infraction that you're putting the kids in jeopardy, you're putting the person in jeopardy, you're going back. That's it. And the judges have a lot of leeway and a lot of discretion for domestic violence.
Got it. Okay, let's then finish with you, Attorney Carter. It seems to me that he has had multiple chances, according to the documents that we've been able to read. What is that about? Why would he have this many chances, and why is it because of his sitcom privilege, his celebrity privilege? Because I don't understand why he would have so many chances of this revolving door around domestic violence with this same person.
I agree. When you read it, it's absolutely ridiculous. So let's just go through the facts. In October of 2020, he gets charged with a bunch of crimes for an incident with her, including strangulation, all kinds of things. He gets at that time, they say, okay, we're not going to send you to jail. And generally the police, in these situations don't often send people to jail, particularly if, and I don't know this is the case, But I suspect what happened here is that oftentimes the victim will come forward and say, please be lenient on my baby. We worked this out together. So as a result, they say, okay, 3 years probation. 2 years later, he does the same thing again. And they say, okay, you know what? This time you haven't learned your lesson. We're going to give you 7 days in jail. A week should fix you. We put you in jail for a week, and we're going to give you another 3 years probation. So 3 more years, you got to act right. In those last 3 years, he's had 2 DUIs. Fortunately for him, he had them in California and Oklahoma, so they were in different states. And then he's had this incident. So yeah, there is no excuse at this point. He should have learned his lesson 28 probations ago.
All right, let's go to the algorithms. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The only thing I was going to say is the way that the domestic violence, I think, does really play into it is that women are consistently devalued in society and by the courts. And so if he had been convicted of, say, beating up Sean Carter repeatedly and doing those things, the judge would have been outraged and would have been like, oh, we have to do something about him because he's a menace to society. But often the conflicts between lovers are reduced to lover spat. And even though we have laws protecting victims of domestic violence, this is where you see these repeated chances that really shock the conscience.
Let's go to the algorithms. Algorithms, in the court of public opinion, what do you think? If the system keeps putting the same people back in the same violent relationships with the same lack of accountability, then who really is at fault? Who's really at fault? Drop down in the chat. Is it the system or is it the people that are in the relationship? Drop down in the chat. I want to know what people are thinking, definitely from our algorithms. Well, speaking of danger, let's talk about a different kind of harm. Not physical violence, but financial betrayal. But guess what? After you're dead. Yep. From repeat domestic violence to pay me what you owe me from beyond the grave. We're talking about Shannen Doherty Estate versus her ex-husband, Kurt. All right, the next case, this is personal, but beyond personal, it's quite haunting to me. Yes, you know the iconic actress Shannen. Well, she passed away in 2024. Okay, now this is what you need to know. The day she dies, her estranged husband, Kurt, signs their divorce settlement. All right, while signing the divorce settlement, he agrees to sell the Dripping Springs, Texas house and split the profit with her estate. He agrees to return personal property and inventory her things, including photos. And he also agreed to pay $100,000 to buy out her share of a plane. Now, her estate is saying, guess what? He didn't do any of it. And they are taking him to court. He never listed the house. He's still living in it. He didn't return her stuff. And they say that he shorted them $50,000 from the plane payment. So Shannen may be gone, but guess what? Her lawyers are not. And they are very much alive according to the documents. Attorney Carter, let's go to you first. I need to know, once a marital settlement agreement is signed, is it also just like a ruling a judgment or whatever is what I'm trying to say. So you know how in some of these cases, especially if it's civil, that you either pay it or you don't. Sometimes you can take forever to pay it or you don't. So how is it treated when the marital settle agreement is signed and incorporated into the divorce judgment?
It is actually both. It's both a contract and a court order. And what we mean by that is, as you're absolutely right, Your Honor. If you sign a contract with someone, Visa, MasterCard, or whatever, you might or might not pay them hypothetically, okay? But with this, once you sign a contract inside a divorce settlement, you're saying, no. If I don't pay this, they can come get me. And the judge can hold you in contempt until you do it, put you in jail. And so it's more than just a normal contract. It's a super contract, put it that way.
Got it. Okay, Shaitan, you tell me this then. When one spouse dies, how does the estate legally step into their shoes to collect money or property owned under the divorce judgment?
Well, the estate is the representative of the individual. So, right. So they absolutely just step into the shoes. So whatever claims the individual have are the same claims to the estate. Shannen Doherty, though, is my hero because when I heard about this, I mean, you got to think about this. She was dying of cancer. She had an protracted battle with cancer. And what she really wanted to do before she took her last breath was to make sure she was not married to that man. actually thought it took a different level of commitment and petty to say, you know what? Goodbye. And now from the grave, she's like, bitch, better have my money. And so I think her lawyers are actually doing what she wanted to do, which is to make sure that she got what was hers and that she was completely disassociated with him. And so the representatives of the estate are likely people from her family. It might even be her best friend was that Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar, who also had been made public comments about this and how terrible that her husband was to her. So I am here for all of this.
Jason, can a judge appoint a receiver to sell it, or can he have the option of paying the half that's owed to her and keep and stay in the home?
So it's really going to depend on what the marital settlement agreement says, right? So if it said that he needs to pay his half and he needs to move out, or if he wants to go ahead and buy it out, that's a discussion. That's something that the estate can make up their mind, and they can say, yes, we're going to allow him to live there if he wants to pay it out. This is truly a new spin on what, till death do us part. I mean, there you go. You know, look, but exactly what Shatan said, the estate steps into the shoes. So it's just like they're wearing a Shannen Doherty mask and they're standing there and they're acting and they're carrying out her wishes. So he reneged. He didn't live up to his end. He's got the personal representative and the judge breathing down his neck saying you need to do this.
So, Sean, does it have anything? Does it matter that the house is in Texas and their marriage was in California, or does it matter?
It only makes it more complicated. So the California judge says, hey, you know what? You agree to this, sell that house. And he goes, nah, I'm in Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. And I go, no, what's bigger is the fact that we have laws. And so he can then, call the people in Texas and say, hey, let's do this. Now, the problem for the estate is they're now going to have two lawyers. One in California to get the enforcement. Then they're going to have a Texas lawyer who goes to Texas and says, look, we got this thing from California, do it. And despite Governor Abbott and his craziness, they'll still do it, but it takes longer and it costs more.
All right, so let's go down in the chat and see what the algorithms are saying. Let me see. Wait a minute, what happened here? Oops, you guys are moving so fast. M. Prucker says, like he was keeping it going until she transitioned because he knew he was going to keep it. Caramel 1977 Cancer says, marriage is a business, period. Brenda K says, typical greedy, selfish behavior. Hope he's made to do the right thing. Sounds like a pretty nasty guy. Caramel 1977 Cancer said, can he go to jail?
Maybe. I mean, doubtful. I mean, look, if the judge really thinks that you're not listening to what he or she says, and they can hold you in contempt, and then they can go ahead and issue what's called a writ of bodily attachment, which means that he can send out a bailiff, a sheriff, or whoever, and get you and bring you into the court, and you better have your toothbrush or your money or whatever you need to do, because you're going to jail.
Wow. Well, I guess I was going to be sad for him because he could be in mourning, but I guess in the case here, if you sign, you owe, right?
He ain't in mourning. Think about it. He waited till the last. I give Attorney Turner all the credit here. This man waited until the last possible moment. She wanted to be done with him months before. And he was like, I'm going to wait till I just heard the dink before he signed the paperwork, right? And so, I don't feel bad for him at all. You wrong, brother. You wrong.
All right.
And to that point, Attorney Carter, remember, she was on that show called Charmed where she was a witch. Your Honor used some words initially that he was haunted by this case. He better watch out. Shannen might come haunted.
Well, since we're talking about divorce contracts and who's really walking away whole, let's get back to Atlanta, where Todd Tucker is not just standing next to divorce papers. He's decided that he wants to fight them. Bailiff, take it away.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Hi, Todd. I'm Kate.
Right.
Marjorie's my notary.
Okay.
Reagan is going to be one of the witnesses. Kate will be the other witness.
I decided to sign a prenup against my lawyer's advice.
All right, everybody, we're back in Atlanta. Kandi filed for divorce first. Now Todd has entered the legal chat. And guess what? He did it with two big moves. One, he's asking for primary physical custody of the kids with joint legal and him having final decision-making power. And two, he's coming for the prenup, saying he was pressured to sign it right before the wedding, which was 4 hours like you saw, and it was documented, without his own lawyer properly involved. Ooh, this is tough. So legally, this is about custody as well as whether that prenup stands or falls. Oh, I can't wait to hear what the lawyers got to say. All right, Sean Carter, I'm going to start with you. In Georgia, when a dad asks for primary physical custody, what do judges actually look at?
All right. They're always looking at the best interest of the child. And when they try to figure out which parent will be in the child's best interest, there's a couple things. Sometimes the kids have some say, but most of it is the schedules of the parents. All right, which parent is busier, more likely to take care of the kids, which ones has the best habits, etc. Most often the presumption is given to the woman because men are men. All right, totally get it. In this case, he's saying, no. She's so busy out there making money, and I ain't nobody. I'm a bum. All right, I can handle these kids. And she's going to argue, no. The fact that you're a bum means you can't handle kids or me, because if you were any good at all, I'd have stayed. And so it's going to be interesting. That's going to be the argument that's going to come down. And here's why he wants custody. He might love the kids more than her. I got kids. I don't believe that. Here's what I think he loves: alimony. And alimony is the formula, and a big part of that formula is the percentage of time you spend with the kids. So he's trying to get some Federline money here. All right. You don't get Federline money unless you get custody.
Right. And they're young too. So what he's got what, at least a total of maybe 14 years on one of them. 14 years of this. All right. Let me ask you this, because I want to read what the chat says. Y'all are going off. Danielle Cameron said, y'all better put some respect on Todd's name. He's trying to secure the coin. Mama Joyce tried to tell Kandi, I want the check, but not the kids. Now, Christine R., she said, Christine R. said, Kandi is too busy to raise those kids. So with that being said, Shaitan, let me ask this question. Can a parent's travel-heavy work life be seen as negative for custody, even if it's how the parents provides for the financial wellness of the home?
Yeah, so the judge looks at the totality of the circumstances, and as everybody knows, that the standard in family court is the best interest of the child. So if one parent successfully proves that they're present and available in a more meaningful way to provide a stable and secure household for the children, where they're hands-on providing for them, that's very influential and impactful for the judge and will weigh heavily on it. That said, what the parent who travels will say, and before I leave that point, the other thing is that the court believes that parental involvement is important for the well-being of the kids. So if one parent isn't around, right, that means that the judge would actually be choosing to have paid help raise the kids while that parent is away, as opposed to having the other parent be the direct caregiver. And so judges are reluctant to make that trade. But as you know, other celebrities and entertainers and people who travel a lot do have custody of their children, and they make it work. Often the kids are homeschooled and they travel with them. And so her travel schedule alone won't be dispositive of the outcome.
Got it. So Jason, let me ask you this then, because if I'm thinking like trying to be strategic and was representing Todd, I would say, okay, she's got this Broadway play. She's got this tour with the ladies. She's got all of these business ventures that's keeping her away from the home. Now that we're separated and I'm no longer involved, I can offer more stable home environment for consistency purposes. Is this something you think his lawyer would be arguing right now? And if you were his lawyer, what would you be arguing?
So if I was his lawyer, I would probably take exactly what you just said and play it in front of the courtroom, because that's what I would tell the judge. She's out there, she's traveling, there's no opportunity to spend time with the kids, and this is it. And yes, she might have 7 nannies in tow and all of this and all that, but nothing resonates with a child than their maternal or their paternal parent, and that's what it's going to be. That's the argument. And let her go out and let her earn and let her support the lifestyle.
So, Sean, let me ask you this, because I find it very interesting that this tape of him with the 4 hours before the wedding is now circulating all over the net. I got to be honest, in court of public opinion, I would think that feels kind of forced. From looking at that looks kind of forced, having 4 or 5 people come into your hotel room hours before you are to get married to say you have to sign this prenup. I think there's a strong argument here that he felt forced, and it was on TV live.
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing is, one of the things that can invalidate a prenup agreement is if there was coercion, duress. You've signed it, you didn't want to. And he says, by the way, his lawyer said not to sign it. But he didn't say that he wouldn't sign. He simply said his lawyer thought it wasn't a good idea. Now, the issue is there's always some level of coercion on a prenup agreement. Basically, every person who is the breadwinner says, I want to protect my assets, right? And so the fact that you say, hey, I'm not going to marry you if you don't do this is not enough coercion. If you watch the whole video, you'll notice that the lawyer, who's Kandi's lawyer and asking him these questions, is going forward and saying, did anyone threaten you? Did they make any hostile threats? Because basically the fact that they weren't going to marry you if you didn't sign it isn't enough coercion. It has to be something that is physical threat. I'm going to ruin your reputation. I'm going to tell everybody that what you look like first thing in the morning. That type of thing. And outside of that, it's not coercion. Even if you felt like you had to, because otherwise they wouldn't marry you, that's not enough. It has to be something that's more than just that.
So let me ask you this, but still, I still want to come back to can you say, with all the cameras, with the million of followers, with the million of viewers, he felt pressured? He really didn't feel like he had made an informed decision at that time? Because the cameras are in your face. You have 4 people coming into your room. That's not coercion enough?
That's not enough, because people of sound mind and body have the ability to make bad decisions. Nobody said you have to be smart. Like, the first thing that lets you know that he was a fool is when he said on camera that I'm signing this against my lawyer's advice. The algorithm should all know that when you do something against your lawyer's advice, chances are it is not a good decision for you. So you should not do it, right? But yeah, the fact that it was on camera and all of those things, I mean, I think his lawyer would make that argument, but I think I could shoot it down really easily, because for the reason that Attorney Carter mentioned, the bag was marrying Kandi, right? That was what he wanted, because he wanted the come up. And so he was willing to do whatever it took in front of whomever was going to listen to make sure that he got to marry her. And I actually think it's really poor form and unethical on his part to now say, well, I was coerced and so the prenup shouldn't apply. The only reason he's saying that is because he wants more money and he can't afford the lifestyle to which he became accustomed with Kandi. And what he needs to do is get a job.
The lawyer said it here. I want to give a big shout out, though, to Soul PJ 2792. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. He said Kandi's prenup was signed and dated with Mama Joyce's blood. Todd won't get much. All right. Thank you so much. So PJ 2792. What's on your mind, Jason?
I got a question for the panel. How long were they married?
11 years.
11 years. And he didn't raise this about the prenup and about duress and coercion until 11 years later. And that is going to defeat most of his argument. The fact that he sat on his hands, he knew about this prenup, he knew it was there. Now, 11 years later, court's going to say you lived with it for 11 years. And guess what? You got to live with it longer. If it was
he probably wasn't as unhappy as he is now. He probably didn't contemplate divorce then.
Doesn't matter. He would have been able to say duress, coercion, and all of that if it was a quicker reaction. The court's going to look and say, this was in place for 11 years. Nah, I'm not buying that. Sorry.
Even if he says, I had to go to the Kandi dungeon and participate in multiple sex acts with different women, it doesn't matter?
You should
get less money for that. All right. trying to Kandi, call me. I'll be next.
You'll do it for half the price.
Exactly.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Daniel Cameron. Thank you, Daniel Cameron, for the super chat. Daniel Cameron say treated to leave me poor. They threatened to leave me poor if I didn't sign the prenup. I can't go back to oodles and noodles. Y'all are torturous. Y'all are really bad out here. Daniel Cameron, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us in the panel. I'm sure I speak for them as well. All right, let's go to the algorithms. Algorithms, what do you think? What are your thoughts? If you waited 11 years, multiple spinoffs, restaurants, and tours to suddenly say that prenup wasn't fair, are you going to side-eye him? Or are you in support? Maybe he didn't know. Drop down in the chat. Let us know where you stand on this. The law might say Todd has a point, while the culture is saying, Todd, you need to be grateful for what you possibly might get, right? Drop down in the chat. I want to hear what everyone thinks about the Todd and Kandi separation and him saying that the prenup was done under coercion.
Can I say one more thing, Your Honor? I mean, you know, this is my particular
your expertise.
About. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really offensive, right? Kandi is self-made, right? She is incredibly talented and she is entirely self-made, and she has figured out how to build her empire on her own sweat of her brow and her talent. And the fact that he's just trying to get the come up because he's him, I think is just a whole level of being offensive. And yes, I am being gender specific because I would feel differently if he had actually carried the children, but he didn't. He had maybe 25 minutes of fun and he got these children, and I'm talking collectively for all of them.
She didn't carry any of them either, counselor. She didn't carry any of the kids. They're all through a surrogate.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that she did, because she's not asking him for money. I'm saying that if he were a woman and actually carried the children and that was part of the basis for him getting this money, at least he could argue that he had that service. But in this case, he's just trying to take advantage of her efforts, in my opinion.
All right, SL Warrior says she carried one. Okay, I didn't know that. This is my question. And I understand the argument, but my question is, if the role was reversed, would we have more grace? Meaning, if that was a guy, if Todd was Kandi and Kandi was Todd, would we be allowing this argument to even enter the chat? And I think the answer there would be yes. I think the reason why we are pushing back is because we feel like a very successful woman who has worked hard is being taken advantage of by a guy. Now, let's be clear. Todd was a television executive at BET for who owns BET?
Bob Johnson, when he owned it?
No. Who owns BET now? Anyway, he was a television executive. He was like an EP. He wasn't like a production assistant, so he was still very talented. I wonder though if the conversation would be different. Not saying that I'm siding, but I'm wondering if the conversation would be different. Algorithm, jump down in the chat. Let's keep it going. We got to move right on along. But before we keep moving along, algorithms, please do me a favor, hit that like button. Also, please hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, please hit the share button and invite some friends over to enjoy the show. Hopefully you're enjoying the show fresh off of your Thanksgiving break. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification. And as always, we love it when you jump down in the chat and talk to us. All right. So PJ 2792, I agree, Al. Todd is doing the same thing a woman would do in a divorce. Todd wants extra money. I agree. SL Warrior, he said he also produced a reality show. That is correct. Daniel Cameron said he went from being an executive to a prostitute. Order in my court, Daniel Cameron. Order for Kandi's dungeon. It's something about this. I honestly got to say, I never saw this coming. I mean, what reason, Attorney Carter? Let's go to you, our resident sex advisor here. They get to invite women into the bedroom. Right. Your wife is making tons of money. You get to play with her. Y'all choose together who you want to play with. What's going on? What's the problem?
Let me tell you the problem. Two problems.
Let me just before you answer that, I'm just thinking because most of the time people divorce if you're having an extramarital affair, but they collectively come together and they have them on a regular. Or you know what I'm saying? What's the problem?
Well, the two problems are this. One, y'all didn't tell me this. I've been watching the show. If you had told me that, I've been watching every week. All right, they got twice the ratings. But more importantly, is he the one who filed for divorce, or is she the one who filed for divorce?
He filed for divorce.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess he figured he did his 11 years time, and he was gonna move on. And you say you can't predict this. You know who predicted this? Mama Joyce. Mama Joyce. I didn't watch the show a lot, but I know Mama Joyce, and she was in there from day one saying, "Girl, that man just wants your money." And you say he was an executive. Wasn't he on the set of the show? Didn't they meet because he was like holding the mic and going, he was a grip? Like, really?
Yeah, he worked on the show on the after the show, but he was an executive. I mean, he's got the credentials now.
Then he can go and have that job. I mean, I don't really understand why he's trying to live off of Kandi's money when he's got such high earning potential. That's my thing. He's handsome. He's been a producer, and he should go back and do that job instead of trying to get her money. I mean, I do think if he's actually going to be there for the children, right, then there's an argument for him to actually get custody. If he has custody, then she should have to pay child support, and he'll just be in the same position as Tyrese, because apparently I just read that Tyrese's ex-wife lost custody of their kid, and now he's getting child support from her. I mean, child support is just there to take care of the children. So, I mean, that's unobjectionable. The part I object to is the fact that he's trying to hit the Kandi lottery when he did not contribute to her success in the way that would justify that amount of money.
Right. So I hear you. I just want you to keep that same energy when we see a beautiful woman leave a professional athlete. She, like you said, she's beautiful, she's healthy, she can go back to Instagram, OnlyFans, get her career back, run her numbers up, and she don't need to hustle that professional football player for $35 and $55 and $75,000 a month. All I'm saying is let's keep the same energy. All right, we got to keep it moving because we stayed there a little bit too long. All right, now we land in California. And this story right here is blowing my mind, where the question isn't, did you sign the contract? The question is, were you in your right mind when you signed it? And even if you weren't, should the superstar buyer still get to keep everything? Oh my gosh, I think I'm torn on this. Yep, we're talking about Katy Perry, a mega superstar. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom bought a $15 million mansion from an elderly but seriously ill man named Carl Westcott. All right. He had Huntington's disease. He says he was also on post-surgery pain meds and not in his right mind when he signed the deal. Now, this is the deal. He tried to rescind it. He sued and he said, I didn't understand what I was doing. Now, the court said, actually, you negotiated, you countered, and you seemed to understand just fine. Now, the ruling is that he had capacity and the contract stands. And guess what? Katy now owns a home. Then comes the money phase. She says, because of your lawsuit delay, I lost out on a rental income and had to do repairs. So she's asking for an additional $5 million. Now, the judge, of course, trimmed that down to 1.8, but that seems the same to me, to be deducted from money still sitting in escrow. So legally, everyone's saying this is a clean contract. But in the court of public opinion, this is superstar versus a dying veteran. The optics simply are just ugly. All right, Sean Carter, I can't wait to hear your take on this one. All right, legally, how hard is it to prove someone lacked mental capacity when they signed? And the fact that he had diagnosed with Huntington's disease, is that enough?
Not necessarily enough. You really, you have to basically prove that you didn't know what you were doing. Not that you felt bad, you had a tummy ache that day. Not that, you weren't on the top of your game. I'm 58. I'm never going to be on top of my game again. All right. It basically means, and we should be clear here, because, all the headlines were like, Katie's horrible. She sold this dying vet. Let's explain, all right? This guy got $15 million, all right? He long time since he was in the Peace Corps, all right? He obviously was doing some other stuff too, all right? And two, understand what happened here. They made an agreement. He says, I don't want to do it.
Counselor, no, counselor. He was not in the Peace Corps.
I know what I'm saying. He wasn't in the Peace Corps. This ain't some struggling guy, this ain't some struggling guy. And this is obviously a guy who went out and made a bunch of money, had a $15 million mansion. They make a deal. Now, here's the thing what you got to understand. They make the deal. She sends over the money. He keeps the money and stays in the house. And for the next 5 years, he's in the house on her money. He got her $15 million in his bank account. He's just chilling like, I ain't getting out. What you going to do, throw me out? I'll fight you. Dang. And so for all that time, she sat there. And that's why, by the way, part of the $1.8 million is interest. Part of it is the fact that she got to go now live at the Best Western because he in her house. And it'd be one thing if she had never paid for it. He never paid for it. But he didn't get the money back. He kept the money in the house. That's ignorant.
That's crazy.
He's the original gangster.
And that means he has capacity to think about that. So his lack of capacity argument, that's out the window. That's gone. And the judge saw right through it. And that's why the judge said, I'm not going to give you $5 million, but I'm going to give you 1.84.
That's still great. Significant. Jason, do you think, though, like he could still argue, elderly abuse? He's over 80.
You know what? I don't think it's elder abuse because it's not like she offered him $5,000 for it or forced him into it or coerced him. I mean, he was the bad actor in this whole thing. He took the money, didn't like the deal afterwards, and continued to live there. He didn't say, here's your money back. I want to rescind it. No, I'm going to keep the money. I don't think you gave me enough. And I'm going to live here, and I'm going to spend my last 5 years here on your dime. Thank you very much.
Daniel Cameron says maybe he forgot he had to leave.
I would remind them. The headlines wouldn't have been Sean Carter gets $1.8 million. It'd been Sean Carter gets out of jail after whooping somebody's butt.
I think I'm going to agree with Colette Davis. Colette Davis says he knew what he was doing. You don't have a $15 million house in Hollywood selling to an ultra multi-millionaire superstar. You're a vet. You knew that if anything doesn't go right, you could spill the tea that she's taking advantage of a vet. Those type of level of stars hate any type of negative press. So he thought it was going to work and getting to bully her in the press, but it's not working. So what happens next, Shatan?
What happens next is she gets her judgment and he gets to move. So he played it as best as he could. I mean, he had someone else's money for 5 years to do whatever he wanted with. It was $15 million. Who knows exactly what he made off of it? I think that if people listen to the details, Katie comes out, smelling like roses. The problem is most people just look at the headlines, so they might think that she's a jerk. I wish we could talk about it more, though, but we've had so much fun tonight, we've run out of time.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. It's time to go to the jury, which is you, algoriters. This is your courtroom. Time for you to drop your verdicts along with the lawyers in the chat. First up, Zachery Ty Bryan. Bryan, is the system too soft or repeat domestic offenders? A. B, doing the best it can with messy situations, or C, using probation as a Band-Aid? Attorneys, what do you think? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I mean, there's just all types of wrong going on here. I think the probation was a Band-Aid. And I mean, part of the problem is she probably didn't press charges and didn't do and didn't cooperate. So, I mean, look, he screwed up. He's got to be penalized for it.
All right, Attorney Turner.
Throw the book at him and get him some help.
All right, Attorney Carter.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is both, is that the judges are too soft. And unfortunately, they're aided by, in many cases, sadly, the victim who is urging the judge to be too soft and refusing to cooperate with the prosecution.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find them all guilty. The judge, guilty. The system, guilty. The boy, guilty. The wife, guilty. All of them are guilty. All of them are guilty. All of them are guilty. This is trauma bond at its finest. Go to jail, all of you. All right, Shannen Doherty Estate Is her estate A, right to enforce every dollar in every term, B, wrong for chasing a grieving ex, or C, simply doing what she would have wanted? Attorney Carter, what say you?
They are doing exactly what they should do, and he's wrong, brother. You wrong. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Attorney Turner.
The estate is right to chase down a greedy ex. Give the estate their money and go sit down somewhere.
Attorney Weiss.
I mean, look, the estate is doing everything that it should do by law and morally. He is not doing anything he should be doing by law or morally. So, look, Shannen Doherty might not have been the nicest person when she was, you know, on Beverly Hills 90210 and these shows and all of that. But, you know, she's right in this one, and she's right when she was alive, and she's right when she's deceased. And I hope the estate gets what they deserve.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And Kurt, sorry, guilty as charged, buddy. Come on now, you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. At least I would have given them the option of giving them money to get the part of the house. If you want to stay in the house, give them the money to stay in the house. Wrong. All right, Todd versus Kandi. Is Todd A, legitimately challenging an unfair prenup because he was pressured under the lights and camera? Or is it B, late and opportunistic now that the marriage is over? Or C, somewhere in the complicated middle? Attorney Turner, what say you?
I think in the dictionary there's the word opportunist, and then there's Todd's picture. He's being completely opportunistic. He was not coerced. He signed the document, live by it, and get a job.
Attorney Carter?
You know, I would say that too until the operators told me she the one filed for divorce. She's trying to trade up to a younger or maybe a legal humorous model, whatever she's trying to do.
Maybe a woman.
Exactly, or maybe a woman. And think about it. If this was a man who tried to trade up to a younger model, all right, y'all know y'all would be mad saying, girl, get what you can. So you know what, Todd? Get what you can, boyfriend. Get it, boy. Get it, boy.
Attorney Weiss, save us, please.
I don't even know where to start with this one. I mean, this is just a mess all across the board. But again, 11 years living under the prenup when he knew that this prenup existed, just because he wasn't happy or just because now he realized that the court's going to look at that and they're going to say, you lived 11 years. You went against your attorney's advice. Tough. Sorry. You throw the book at him and, you know, he's going to fight for the kids. And that's his best argument. Your Honor, I can provide the best experience for the kids and let her go out, earn the money, and let her pay alimony and child support.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to do this ruling right here. First of all, Todd, you're guilty on one charge of trying to take that lady money. All right? Before you married her, that money's hers. Let her keep it. After you married her, everything that you guys did together, y'all need to split. I don't care what it is. You need to split. So on that case, I'm finding you guilty for trying to steal that lady money. On the second case, I am going to say I'm somewhere in the middle because I think there's a strong argument considering that he's not as involved in all these enterprises as she is, that he just might make a better parent. So when it comes to the custody of the kids, get your money that way. All right. I don't know that that's right, but that's what seems right to me. That's the judge's decision right here. Last but not least, Katy Perry, the Mansion Case. Ooh, baby. Is Katy A, legally right and morally right? B, legally right but morally wrong? Or C, just caught in a story that looks worse than it is? Attorney Twice, what say you?
She is morally right, legally right, and caught in a story that is BS. So she was the one that endured this for 5 years. She finally got what was hers. And it sucks that she got negative press for it. But in the end, she was right. And the court system did not fail her.
All right, Attorney Turner.
Katy is legally right, morally right, and she's also right by street and playground rules, right? You don't pay somebody for something, they keep your money and you don't get it. my kids know that. So I'm glad this turned out right for Katy, and hopefully he can pass peacefully in his last days.
All right, Attorney Carter.
I can't agree more with the other lawyers. Absolutely. In addition to that, let me tell you what he was right. He was right about. He picked the right one, because had he done this with I don't know, Ice Cube or 50 Cent, it would have been a whole different story. All right. So you lucky you found a little white girl who would go for this, because the other celebrities wouldn't let you live there for 5 years. You would have died like you did, but it would have been different.
I totally agree. I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find Katy not guilty, but we're going to find that veteran guilty of playing those Hollywood games. That's a nice little white girl to be allowing you to stay in that house, because I would have put my ass out long time ago, especially if my $15 million is in escrow. No way. All right, remember, in this court, your comments are the verdicts. So drop down in the chat, because I want to see your verdicts. Let's go over here and say, Danielle Cameron said the longest dying man ever, 5 years. Jeff God said 1411 said, poor Katy. Colette Davis says Katy was right. Sandra McGee says she is right all the way around. Christine R says it looks bad, but Katy is right. I think it looks bad until you figure out what's going on. All right, everybody. Tonight, we watched 4 battles. Yep. We watched a man given chance after chance while the people at risk stay the same. We've watched a woman who fought to the end and whose estate is still fighting for her after she's gone. We watched a marriage where love, business, and Bravo collided, and now the prenup is on trial. And we saw a mansion that proves what's legal on paper doesn't always feel right in the heart. Okay? And that's why this show exists. Because the courtroom decides what's legal, but in the court of public opinion, we decide what's acceptable. Celebrities can afford lawyers. They can spin PR and control narratives, but they can't outrun our judgment when the facts hit the timeline. I'm your judge, Al Reynolds, and this is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I want to thank each of you for joining us tonight. Court is now adjourned. Thank you for joining.